Hey guys, David here and welcome to the FitPro Daily. Today we have another guest speaker and we have Sheree coming on. Now Sheree was one of my Facebook ad clients who had to stop running ads when lockdown started for the simple reason she couldn't carry on her yoga face to face. So in lockdown and during lockdown, what we've done is we've managed to help her transition online, and she's going to share her insight in the program she's managed to create and how it's managed to really take off and almost have her own full-time, fully functioning online fitness business. Before we do dive into it, if you're brand new to the channel, don't forget you can always subscribe by clicking that big red button below. But let's dive straight into this week's guest interview. Okay, good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to this week's guest interview. So this week we're with Sheree. Now, Sheree is not like our typical FitPro, not a gym owner, not some sort of small group. What's unique about Sheree, it's all about yoga and a much older client type of person that you work with. Is that correct, Sheree?
Yes, I train girls over 35 years of age. That's my avatar.
Yeah.
And my oldest that I train would be about 80 something.
What we're going to look at today is kind of like what we've been chatting about during lockdown, and then how Sheree's managed to turn her face-to-face Pilates yoga stuff and move it into an online and this amazing front-end offer that you've been doing really well with.
Thank you.
So we'll probably get a load of new people watch this week's episode just because it's about yoga. It's not something we've really talked about before. So you'd be a leading light. So tell me a little bit more. How did you first get started in the fitness industry?
Sure. Okay, so for me, it wasn't something that was planned. My own story is that I worked in banking and finance. And I became very unwell. I had work-related stress with lots of other health issues, and it was part of my rehabilitation was to exercise and get fit, and that comprised lots of different things that I was guided to do. As things evolved, I was told that actually I wouldn't be able to work in that environment again. In fact, actually, I was told I wouldn't be able to work again, but I was, wholeheartedly needed to actually do something. And so it was like, well, actually, I did lose weight. I was able to exercise as well. And so when I heard that decision, albeit traumatic, is that I just looked at the things that I could do. This is one of them. And I began initially is that in my rehab, I needed to learn more about exercise to be able to help myself, both physically, nutritionally. So I learned, which was very natural for me. In that industry, you have to learn all the time. And what happened is that I then decided to start a little class in the community, and it was very well received. And so one step at a time is that I built myself a bit of confidence, and then it evolved and it grew. So it evolved and it grew because I started with dance, then it was fitness, and then it was yoga, hence why it's Sevenoaks Dance Fitness Yoga. And I'm based down in Sevenoaks in Kent. And then it grew and I have now members that subscribe to my services on a monthly basis, or they pay me in advance. And then I still have the odd class, which has been as pay as you go. Anyway, so I have from nothing created this community of ladies with about 18 classes happening in the community with 3 different age classifications. My first age classification, I'd say between 35 and say 50, then 60 to 75 and 75 plus. Yeah. So 3 different avatars. When lockdown, so that actually, I guess, is a bit of an idea. And I was out in the community, and then COVID happened.
We were just looking for a venue, weren't we?
Yeah, absolutely. That was it. It was just like, okay, let's transition on to the next phase. COVID happened. Very much overnight, I took everything online. Knew nothing about the technology. With your help, using StreamYard was brilliant. And really has opened up, actually, just, made things a lot easier. Lots of other things had to learn as well. Things like really getting good quality audio, good quality visuals. Some of it is still in progress, work in progress. Literally overnight is, and I think that the industry had to catch up quite a lot, in as much as the licensing, the insurances, and all these other things. So from one day we're one thing, from second day we're all online. There was a whole level of responsibility then on the FitPro, and that kind of evolved out very quickly from the industry and the regulators that I'm aligned to. I took everything that I was teaching online. I kept the same timetable. It was challenging because, particularly my older classification group, that the technology, not everyone embraced it, but a lot of them embraced it. The feedback from that group is it's actually quite emotional, because they are locked down, and some are actually going to be locked down for another 3 months. They still have connections socially to the outside world, going through this very difficult time. I then have my other group, which is, say, personal training, it is also transformation program. And again, I've had still ladies losing weight, improving fitnesses. So everything's still happening. And then I have the yoga. Yeah. And the yoga is that out of all of them, I think that the receptivity of it has been at a higher level in contrast to the other. The yoga, the classes that I was teaching, time positioned on the timetable, some were late in the evening, and then also I have day ones. Now, the evening ones, if you can imagine from a client perspective, as long as they've got their home place conducive to this space, it's actually a really beautiful thing. What is the difference? Because, we all lived through this. As soon as COVID happened, there was everyone and their aunt throwing free classes out there, free workouts. And, people coming up with, do this for, £2 or whatever for a short duration of time. But the biggest difference is about that personal interaction. And what I mean by that is something that would be very natural at the beginning of every situation of a class, would be to find out what the clients want to work on themselves individually, albeit that I would have a structure in my mind. So that's evolved. So more people have stayed with yoga. With that in mind, is that given all the other knowledge that I have, I put together a program to test about a package online. And that package, so the package I came up with was for a short duration of time, because decided really everyone was thinking in the short term, not really knowing what's going to happen, for a 10-day period. And within that 10-day period, I put together, whereas they'd have unlimited access to yoga classes, which I was teaching, that was already embedded there. They had a nutrition plan. There was daily mindfulness. There was pre-recorded on-demand yoga strong workouts. There was also, what else did I do? Daily mindset coaching as well. So I'm trying to touch all of that, physical engagement, on demand when they want to ever do it, also that that they were, it's working on the mind element of it as well. Anyway, so I started with this 10-day package, came up with it, and I promoted it to my existing client base first of all. And I got some traction from that, of those that were interested in doing it. And then what happened is that the results were fantastic. That we had a conversation. Remember, Sheree, what you up to? Because I hook on to these, like, your Q&As on Tuesdays. What you up to? Oh, I was having a chat about this, and you said to me, Sheree, that's really good. And actually, wasn't sure because it was only just put it together. So there were some fantastic results. Then what I decided to do, because it was such a good results, and others had then been asking me, I'd like to come on the next one. Well, I hadn't actually scheduled it because I was just doing it for that moment in time, genuinely, to help ladies out of lockdown with that transition in that short duration of time. And then I did it again and I doubled the numbers. I therefore tried a little bit of advertising, okay, which was a bit painful because, so you do my advertising, you're so much better than me, but I thought, I'd try. And so there was a little bit from there, but I wouldn't say that I'm great with that at all. What was interesting is that I came on to one of your interviews or chats with a guy, and he was just talking about online. Yeah, because I was trying to go, what works online, what doesn't work, because all the technology as well. And one of the things that resonated with me was that even though you have access to the world, what seems to happen is that you tend to get into your demographic in your area as well. So I kind of thought, okay, what is it? So the advertising aspect of it on the Facebook, I just kept it to my normal group, and those. So from there, and same as the advertising, and that just kind of like happened. We are now, the first 4 days happened last week. So in 4 days, again, fantastic results from the clients. And I share out the testimonials of this, and there's just masses of interest. It's just really, really surprising. So what's going to happen from here? There's a few learning points with any program, what really just coming to market first of all. What really struck me is that, crikey, people are doing this online, but also it was just really, really fitting to how it worked for them. I've now developed a 6-week one, which I'm refining right now to see how that will work from September. I'll start marketing that within 2 weeks' time. Similar principles, bigger price point, but more added value to that program. So I will end up is having a 10-day, a 6 weeks, and then I'm going to do a 3-month, which will be like a platinum type service. Yeah. So that's kind of what's evolved out for me. What are some of the other things actually that I've learned from it? One of the things that I did bring into the last group was I brought in an extra Q&A, and they really loved it. So that's something that's going to be a feature going forward as well.
Yeah. It's surprising.
It's marvelous value.
Yeah. It's just surprising, like, how much people can develop in such a short space of time, specific to like yourself. Like you said, we were running your ads. I was running your ads for you to generate leads, and you were just chasing them up for your own face-to-face stuff. You had no idea about any of this technology. And then in that switch where we had no choice, the learning potential is massive. And if we're really wanting to learn something, we can. And like you say, now it's exploded into this crazy, yoga thing where everybody just wants to keep joining in every program you have going.
Yeah. And like the technology, to be fair, as soon as it happened, is that I went into a bit of paralysis because I was so overwhelmed, really. One of the things that I have learned is that being online, there's a tremendous amount of communications that happen more than I expected, which is time consuming. Because it's all about trying to manage our time as well. Whereas, for example, doing face-to-face stuff, having a group together, a lot of that is, addressed at the time. So yeah, that's actually one sort of line, is to just be aware of that, to be prepared to spend more time just side messaging people as well.
Yeah.
So from the kind of paralysis, this has evolved out to be a program that can potentially pretty much, I think we all had to change our business models immediately, wasn't it? And actually, going ahead, there's the decision actually. Well, my always in my mind was like, oh yeah, we still do hybrid, and we're going to have to see how that ends up being, because we just don't know what's going to happen in the long term as well. I think that for the clients to have the practice of yoga in their own home, not just because it's me, but just generally, having it personally is great. Yeah, as long as they've got the space, actually it's conducive at home. But how do other fit pros do this? I think it comes back to the real basics, the know, the like, the trust. Going back to all the stuff that you trained, Dave, is that just knowing your marketplace, and they just know you, and then you start getting the results through, sharing those results, and then evolving it from there. So, that's my little 10-day program that is now going to be 6 weeks, which is now going to be 3 months. And that's all, and that's work in progress.
Like you said just then, one of the first things I wrote down was you have that backstory that you can relate to a lot of your clients with. Everybody, no matter kind of what level you are in the fitness industry, whether you're brand new, whether you've been doing it for years, if you don't have that story, that way to relate to them, that know, like, and trust, it's going to be hard to sell to clients. Like you said, you had to do yoga as part of your recovery from your old kind of work. So you learned it. And now, so when you're speaking to potential clients and leads, you have that stuff that you can share with them, which is really good. Yeah.
Totally. It's a big thing. And right. And I've been in the situation, in the professional environment where stress was so catastrophic. Therefore, when we went through COVID, and it's still stressful out there, lots and lots of, my clients are experiencing great deals of stress. And I teach practices to alleviate that and make them feel better about themselves. And also that they can experience a calmness in life. And we only get that by the practice. It really helps my clients to be within a group of other like-minded ladies. Yeah. And that's what happens. And they support each other just brilliantly. One of the things that really did work, and I didn't know how it would work, is that with the technology, when people want to try and get online and they have problems, I created a WhatsApp group, and the community was supporting each other when people were having problems getting online. What I mean by that, if I'm coaching, then someone needs a bit of help. That was a really good thing to have in place. But for the clients, some stories that I had particularly when ladies were transitioning out of lockdown back into their home place. There was a lot of fear that was happening. And one of them, Carrie, she'd been eating up during lockdown, feeling bloated, very worried about going back out into the workplace because she worked in a chiropractic clinic. And combining nutritionally, helping her to feel better, combining the practice of meditation, mindfulness, helping her to control or relax, calm, and then supporting her through the transition back into the working place environment. It helped her. That's what she told me. Yeah, it helped her. So that's a nice story. And there's lots of others as well. There's particularly around with nutrition, we know that there's some real, with gut health and stuff, we kind of like look after our gut, and it's going to be a real help for us as well. So the whole package combined this.
Yeah, no, that's great. Like from what you said, there's some massive takeaways that you've said, and most people who are kind of watching this may not have realized, but like you say, straight away you had that story that you can relate to them, and then you have that personal touch when it comes to actually training with the clients. I know there's no face-to-face contact in that, but like I said, those little private messages to keep them engaged, to really know what they need to achieve, just to find out more about them. And then we have the community aspect, which we've just been talking about there. So it's not just you doing the work, they're also bonding and becoming a group that help each other by staying as a group. They then want to carry on with each other because they built this relationship, this community, that it's almost like a family. And then the final small bits, you were talking about creating that small front end offer to begin. Don't just go and create a massive mega program that you don't know if people are going to buy. Create a small thing, see what the demand is like, sell that. If that goes well, then like you say, move it to the 6 weeks, and then move it to the 3 months. And then finally, the biggest thing I can take from this, from definitely what you've said, lots of people, when they go online, they think, yeah, I'll create a £5 program, hundreds of people will buy it, and I'll be loaded. From what you've said, a lot more work has to go into actually running an online thing. And a lot of people just don't get it. They think that online is just some really easy thing. They give them a little app, they follow some coaching sessions that are pre-recorded, and that's it. But online is almost like you say, face-to-face. Face-to-face, you'll have those conversations during the sessions. You're having to have those conversations all the time through messages and emails and phone calls to support your clients.
Definitely. It's like small group personal training, but you transitioned it. Yeah. So but that's just me. Is that the personal aspect to it is really important, because we have just such an influence on others' lives in such a positive way.
Yeah.
Particularly because my target market actually is ladies, and those ladies, if they're feeling good themselves and there's calmness, it really ripples out to the home place.
But this is all about knowing your audience. Yeah, you know what they want. Don't guess. Don't think, oh, they might like this or they might like that. Ask them. You know them then, and then you can give the right things for the trainings they need. Yeah.
Yeah, and I resonate with you. It is hard work. Yeah, particularly with technology, because it doesn't always work the way that I want it to work. And I've invested financially a lot of money into extra equipment just to make it work. And I'm still going to be doing that as well. I have made the decision with the view that I will be all online from September to December, because of the expectation of what's going to happen out in the community. That for me it means that I need to find new people. And that's what I'm now going to be proactively going out to do, to find them for September, to help them in the way that I've been doing these other ladies as well.
Yeah. So let's talk about the marketing aspect of it then. We haven't really run ads. We've done a little bit. So how have you been filling these programs so far? What kind of stuff have you been sharing or posting to get these people interested and then sold too?
Yeah. I first of all come up with an email, and okay, so that goes to straight. I had built my email list, and I nurture my email list with regular educational content. And then I put an email out to those, and I put the outline of the package together first of all. Oh, I think that's what it is that I caught a bit of an article. And I used the article that I saw in the newspaper, and it was talking about Jennifer Lopez and with her detox. And that was kind of like an inspiration. And so I just talked about Jennifer Lopez. Did you see her in the newspaper? Oh my gosh, at 50, she looks amazing. She's been doing this detox that made me think, well, actually, who would like to have a detox at this moment in time? We've all been in lockdown. I hear that people are gaining weight. And then, look, we can do it for a short duration of time, but there's lots of stress. So let's calm things down, with the cortisol and such like that. And so the email, I got response from the email. First of all, I created a price point, and I created an early bird. That's a good idea to do that. So I kind of knew very quickly that I had a certain number of people, and actually it had something. So then I painfully went through your videos, and then
Lots of videos.
Yeah. Went through the videos to try and do this, which was, and then I put a little advert out to see how that got. And to be fair, is that, like, you do it so much more better than me. I only got a few of the flurries in from that, but I kept hold of those people because they're automatically in my email list, so they'd still get information. So the email, first of all, social media, Facebook advertising. That's what I did to market it. When the results came through, I shared the results. Again, same thing. Social media, email marketing, my list.
Yeah.
Those are the two
And
things.
in these emails and social media and stuff, was it a link to a buy now page, or was it like an application form, or how did you kind of set that up? Yeah.
Application. So there was a couple of things. There was just the application form that I've got set up in ClickFunnels. So pretty much now, to be fair, I've probably lost people because I don't really understand actually how to do that side of things that well. But I just got the application forms in through the ClickFunnel. And then the second time around, it was like a little bit of a lead ad to tell me that you're interested. Yeah. And then I just got their details from that, and I'm doing the chasing, the telephone calls, the texting, the sequence that you say, really, 1, 2, 3 with a bit more. That's always challenging, But I'd say that the larger proportion of them are come from existing, that I've been nurturing over time. I know it's really painful and hard work, but it just comes back down to that because they already know. The online marketplace is just full of people. And, I did go through the experience of odd people that just putting stuff out there online, come to my free yoga. And I was like, because it actually is more involved, because when you were all, if you're doing online with your health screening forms, you need to have some additional in relationship to that and manage that process, which is different to when it is in person as well.
That's good. Just quickly then, before we kind of stop and take questions, can you tell the world what you meant by an early bird offer for anybody who's unsure what that means?
Yeah. Right. So I picked a price out of the air, and then I said, if you commit by whatever date this is, that you'll get it at this price. And I was very firm to say that when that point came, it went up. So I sold people at the early bird price and also people at the higher price as well.
Mm.
And I'm going to put it up again and do early bird. The time frame that I did for this early bird, I gave it I think it was like a 3.5, 4 week window, yeah, before I actually run it. And so I gave them that, good time really, 2 weeks early bird, and then anything after that, it's more expensive. What was interesting is that I still had people on the date of closing wanted to do it. Well, I have to say no, because I've already set everything up, close it down, and then naturally everyone comes in through a sequence at that time.
No,
Yeah, so that's
early
the
birds
early
again
bird.
is another great offer. It's like just trying to let them know if you want to commit early, this is the opportunity and you get at a reduced price. But if you miss that deadline, the price is higher. So more people are going to want to commit. You kind of like giving them incentive to commit the offer. So before we finish then and take questions, is there anything else you'd want to say quickly to anybody who's maybe getting into yoga, maybe doing yoga the first time, or anybody just wanting to get started with online training?
Yeah, I think it really helps to, like, you need to put the work in, build the relationships with people. It helps that so absolutely do that. Be very proactive on social media. Yeah. Just over deliver whatever it is that you're doing in the practice. Packaging it up is a help, because you're not just another yoga instructor then. And try something small first of all, and then see what works, and then shape it, which I did. It started small, I've added a bit extra to it, and I'm going to add a bit extra more to it, so it shapes up as it evolves with the successes of the programs.
And don't forget those success stories as well.
Yeah, loads of success stories. Also, it's really, sound. Yeah, online, live classes online, sound is really, really important, because they want to be able to hear you. When, just in terms of the delivery of the coaching, the way that you're set up as well, yeah. You need to be lengthways so they can see you. It's obvious, I guess, actually, but see you really clearly. And also that, good lighting, really good sound, visuals, all on point. So that's, because otherwise it's nothing more frustrating that you actually go on something online and you just can't see or hear anyone. Might as well do like an on demand.
So that was the guest interview with Sheree, and as you can see, I almost didn't even get a chance to talk. Sheree was so passionate about how she got it all set up and how everything is working well for her now. And like she was saying, she created that front end offer, that small offer to begin, to make sure that people wanted it. And then as you can see then, she's now building a bigger offer and a long-term platinum offer to really, now she knows that a small one is working, she can start building on those other things. It was really interesting to hear too about how difficult online actually is. A lot of us want to get started online, charge a little, and have hundreds of people doing the program. But as you can see from what she was talking about, online requires a lot more hard work, more online communications, messaging, email, phone calls, just to keep them happy, more support, more accountability. A lot more stuff goes into having an online program. So it was really great to hear her talk passionately and how excited she was about her whole online business. If you're new to the channel and you want to check out some more of the videos we had to offer, then check out some of these videos just here. And again, if you're new, don't forget you can always subscribe by clicking that big red button below. I'll speak to you all tomorrow. Cheers.